Right, hello, welcome back to another Villa on Tour video today. Some very exciting news came out of the club this morning about the North Stand redevelopment, the development of Villa Park, how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. I'm joined by Simon to discuss it. Si, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, looking forward to chatting about the plans. Obviously, exciting day. So yeah, good.
Do you know what? We'll leave that in a little bit. We'll talk about some other talking points because I feel like over the summer on the channel we haven't really caught up with the viewers. So let's talk about some other news that came out of the club a couple of days ago. The badge. It's all going on at Villa, isn't it? I think for me, I don't know. I think it's tough. Everyone talks about the round badge. I think it's fairly. You're probably talking 65-35 in people in favour of a circle badge. For me, I just think it's a bit. Every club's got a circle badge. I think the thing that I like about Villa is we're so unique, we're so historic and things like that, etc, etc. Just another circle badge. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think the main thing for me, and I think for you as well, because we've already talked about it, is getting the name Aston Villa on the badge, getting more claret on it, just giving it a good old revamp. What are your thoughts on it? Just before we do crack on though, this video is very kindly sponsored by Luke 1977. If you do want to go over there and check out some brand new gear, they've got a brand new summer range as well, and they've got a sale going on, so plenty to choose from. Go and use the code MAX20 to get a big 20% discount, MAX20. It works on for sale items as well, so honestly, some brilliant discounts to be had over there at Luke. They've got some great gear, top link in the description. Go and check out Luke, and don't forget to use the code MAX20.
Yeah, I think everyone's really wedded to the idea of a circular badge, and it seems like the club are as well. And I think it goes back to our the most successful time in our club's sort of history, and I think that's why a lot of people look back to it. I do quite like those style of badges as well. I've got no issue with it. I think, as you say, it has become a little bit mainstream. A lot of clubs have those now. But the main thing for me is to get their full name on it. I think when Randy Lerner changed the badge, whenever it was, I think it was 2007, 2008 time, obviously changed it just to AVFC, and I think as the club put out in the statement, it's that how far does that sort of reach? Do fans abroad know who Aston Villa are when they see our current crest? Does it reach wide enough? And it probably doesn't. So I can see why they want to revamp. And also I think it's the owners trying to put their stamp on things after a few years, and so I can see why it's happening. And like I say, I do like those old style round badges, so I wouldn't be totally against it.
I think there's a couple doing the rounds on Twitter. I think there was a very popular reply, which I'll put on screen now, in reply to Villa's tweets. I think circle ones are good, but again, they look very mainstream. I don't know, it's up to the club. It's a massive decision. We've seen how it can go wrong with Leeds a couple of years ago. That was hilarious. So I don't think Villa are going to go that bad, but I think it's definitely, you've got to be careful when you're making a new badge. Right then, let's get into the main topic of the video, the new stadium redevelopments. Villa put out quite a few images on Twitter and on their website today. So we'll look at this one here. It looks like quite a Where's Wally image. I like the drawing, it is quite quirky. But this is an image of Whitton Lane. Obviously you can see Doug Ellis there, the Doug Ellis stand on the left-hand side. It looks like it's more pedestrianised. I like what they're doing there. A couple of people are talking about how that stand looks like Liverpool's main stand. But I like that image. I think you've definitely got to have sort of more pedestrianised zones there. And yeah, there's the first image of what the North Stand could look like. And obviously we'll talk about what that is on the right-hand side as well, behind the stand. But what are your thoughts on that image? I quite like that.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I think the club are trying to go down the route of bringing more people in and around the stadium on a match day rather than just going in, it's just straight into the stadium. And I think that's the problem with Villa Park. You've got so many walls around Villa Park, in terms of like the back car park, separating Whitton Road all the way up to Whitton Lane and across to the other end of the stadium at the Trinity Road side of the stadium where Aston Park is. And so I think the idea, looking at the designs, it looks like they are going to make that more pedestrianised on Whitton Lane, and sort of open that up a little bit on match day and have a place for people to gather. It looks nice, and I think it's badly needed. I mean, let's be honest, the North Stand's been there since the 70s, and so it's the oldest stand at Villa Park, and it's the one that is really needing renovation. I mean, I sit in the North Stand, and I mean, while it's a really good view from the North Upper, the facilities, I mean, the toilet facilities and the hospital, the catering facilities and the hospitality, it all needs a major upgrade. So yeah, it's much needed, but it's good to see the level of sort of ambition. It looks like it's going to be a big stand. Yeah, it's a really positive day, I think.
And you can see the stand there, but obviously behind that you've got a building that isn't there currently. It looks like it's going to be built on the North Stand car park, and they've called it Villa Live, and this is what they've described it as. The plans will also see the introduction of Villa Live, a brand new commercial destination venue and community space. Villa Live will be a multi-purpose central hub space, including the club shop, food and drink outlets and areas dedicated to showing the club's rich heritage and history. Aston Villa is asking the local community to help shape the story for Villa Live, from a calming space for new parents, an active area for dance classes, to an event space for training and education. The aim is to create a thriving and active community unique to Villa Park. I think that's wicked. That sounds absolutely class, and I think they're not just football based, let's make a bigger stadium to get more fans in Villa Park. It's very, very, very much community based, and I think that's absolutely brilliant. I think Christian Purslow put out an interview this morning on Villa TV that he's basically saying all the right things, and this Villa Live sort of area sounds brilliant. I think, let's talk from a personal point of view, and me and you and the boys, like, we drink in Birmingham, we very, very rarely drink around Aston, purely because there just isn't, okay, you've got, you know, a few pubs around, but they're always absolutely packed and it's really hard to get in. So that's why we stay in the middle of Birmingham basically, and rarely drink around Villa. And I just think this Villa Live space is going to be absolutely wicked, purely for the club as well, to just massively boost revenue. And just as like a get together for Villa fans, it just, a lot of people have pointed out that it looks like Box Park. I'm not sure if you were there for the playoff final of the Box Park at Wembley, but it looks very similar to that. I was there for the cup final against Man City. It just gets everyone together and you can all have a drink together, and it just boosts spirits a little bit. It's just a brilliant place to be.
Yeah, and it houses everything under one roof. So obviously they're talking about having the shop there. They're talking about having some kind of museum there, food outlets, entertainment, all sorts of different stuff. And I think it's, as you said, that pubs around Villa Park are really sort of limited. There is only the few now that so many have closed down, and so a lot of us tend to gather in Birmingham. And I think that's a shame for the club in terms of looking at revenue and in terms of getting people into the stadium. It's something that we desperately need to start offering. I mean, a lot of fans just sort of turn up, 15, 20 minutes before a game and just go into the seat, which isn't a problem, and that's what some fans like to do. But other fans do like to meet early, and so this gives them that other offer. And the thing I thought as well, we talked about transport issues in terms of like the train stations, etc. And yet, if we have a place like that, it allows a place for people to go after the game if they want to as well, for an hour after the game, while the traffic dies down or while the train stations, sort of empty. And so I think it's a great idea, and I think on the other side of it as well, it's trying to entice people down, towards Villa Park in the week as well, because I think it's been a huge problem. And it's not just for Villa; it's a huge problem for other clubs as well. It's that how do you maximise like entertainment space to get people down in the week, because obviously football clubs usually reside in sort of like inner city sort of areas where they're usually not great areas, and it's difficult to attract people down there. And so by having this, you hope that it will attract people down, people going on tours of Villa Park, and they can drop in afterwards for a bite to eat or a drink or whatever they want to do. And yeah, I think it looks really positive, and I think I have seen some comments this morning talking about how close it is in terms of the new stand as well. But I think that's quite deliberate. I think they want to put it close to the stand to try and make it feel like this is part of the stadium rather than the other end of the car park where the current ticket office and the club shop is. And so I think those designs are fairly deliberate, like that, definitely. I think obviously the plans are subject to change, obviously, but I think it's really positive. I think it'd be great, and And I think the one thing that really made me laugh was Purslow was talking about how some of the away games will get broadcast in there as well. And I just had visions of Purslow going around with his little fire stick and just hooking up to the dodgy channels to watch the Villa
dodgy
games.
stick.
Yeah, it just made me laugh. But no, I think it's a great idea, and it all fits in with where the club are trying to move forward to.
Yeah, I love that. And I just remember, like, when we're walking around like away grounds, and especially Newcastle comes to mind, where they've got like pubs and bars built into the stadium, and we were walking around Newcastle, I remember, and we were like, oh, I'd love that. I'd love Villa to have something like that, because like you said, it just encourages people to stay behind or go before a match, and obviously it's brilliant for the club in terms of revenue as well. It's just brilliant. And even Coventry and stuff like that, I've got like bars in their stadium. Whilst this isn't in our stadium, it's just across the road. It's fantastic and it looks great. I think it's very much community based as well. Like I said, you can have exhibitions in there. It's great for local businesses. It just looks absolutely class. Probably the biggest talking point for me and focus for me, I think there was a survey that Villa did, and it asked you to rank like your priorities in terms of the new development, and probably number one for me was just travel and infrastructure and public transport and that, because me and the chaps, when we go to games, we get the train because we come from Redditch. It's direct to Aston. It's basically perfect. But getting back, it's such a massive pain. We pretty much for years got the train from Aston, but that just started getting absolutely chaotic after a game. You have to queue across busy roads, and it's not safe and it's not fun when you're waiting in the rain as well. In a cold January evening game, you're worried about missing the last train, etc. It's just a massive faff. So we started getting the bus. We walked like 20-30 minutes away from the stadium, got a bus, and that's so much easier, but it's still a little bit of a pain because of that walk. I think there's some aerial images that Villa have shared as well. You can see the Brookvale Academy, which looks quite good there, obviously just behind Whitton Station, and you can see that sort of pedestrianised, opened, redeveloped zone that is just next to the Whitton Station. I think, although it's obviously not Villa's, they don't own the stations, they've got to do something with it, haven't they? And they've got to be in contact with like the local authorities and stuff, because I think for me, definitely, you've got to improve the public transport, and for me, that's number one.
Yeah, I think it'll all form part of the plans. I think they've said that they've been in close contact with Birmingham City Council and the West Midlands Authority as well, and so I'm sure that the train stations in particular will be high on the agenda. I do wonder, because obviously Whitton and Aston Station are quite small though in size, and so I do wonder whether there's even the space to extend them. But I think something will have to be done in terms of trains, because if you're adding another 7,000-8,000 onto the gate, then it's gonna, it's gonna put even more pressure on it. Whether they look at stuff like, I don't know, like shuttle buses from the city centre, which I think they used to do years ago actually, and I know a lot of other clubs do it. Whether they look at something like that, and I think there's been a lot of other rumours as well. I think you mentioned the Inner City Academy and car park. I think there's been rumours about car parks there, and I saw a rumour earlier on talking about like an underground subway sort of tunnel leading from the Inner City Academy down to Villa Park and stuff. And so I think more stuff will come out in the next few weeks or so probably about it. But I think the infrastructure, the travel arrangements around Villa Park desperately needs to be looked at. But in terms of a massive project like this, I'm sure that the club have that sort of in hand. I wouldn't be worrying too much about it. I think it will get resolved, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of fans are voicing their opinion on, oh yeah, it's great expanding the stadium, but you have to start with the basics and improve the transport. Even like the football specials, like the trains. Like I used to see them quite a lot, but you just don't see them anymore. Trains getting cancelled and stuff. I know that's out of Villa's control, but we see that. Let's move on to what the actual stand could and will look like. I think Villa released some images there. You can see the new North Stand wraps round to the existing Trinity. And there's another image of what the North Stand will look like from the side as well. So they've said it's going to be sort of similar to the Holt, with a big lower tier and then a slightly smaller upper tier. It's going to house around just over 13,000, with 2,000 of them being hospitality. So by the looks of those images, it looks wicked with the concourse area as well. It looks very modern. And I'm excited about if it's going to be anywhere near how the Holt looks. Like you said, your view from the existing North Stand of the Holt, and it just looks unbelievable. Like if you've got pretty much two Holts looking at each other, that's going to be absolutely class, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's a space aspect of it as well. I think if you look at the pictures, it looks like they're going to have sort of different levels of concourses, even though it's only a two-tiered stand. It sounds like they're going to have a few different levels of concourses, which is really good, and it sort of allows people to have that sort of feeling of space within the stadium. And I think also the design in terms of it looks like there's a lot of glass, and it looks like there'll be a lot of light let into these concourses, which is a massive change around from what the North Stand currently is. And so yeah, and what you said about wrapping around to the Trinity, and so I think it'll add a few more seats into the Trinity Road as it sort of wraps around. But it'll still it'll feel like that bowl sort of end of the stadium up there, but it'll still allow us to have those sort of four separate stands, which makes Villa Park sort of unique. And I think, as the club have said, this is phase one. This is only phase one, taking the capacity up to just over 50,000, and so it's exciting to think about what's phase two and what's phase three. In the future, in terms of looking at the Doug Ellis stand and the Holt end and stuff, and it's really exciting. I can't wait. I think as long as we get first dibs and get a decent seat, a few rows from the front of the upper, like we do now, I'd be really pleased. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that Villa way that they've put there, that looks really good, because I think now it's a bit of a mess there, isn't it? They said they're going to knock down walls and stuff and just make it's just basically easier to walk around the stadium, because if you're walking sort of, I don't know, from the Trinity to the Doug Ellis stand, you have to walk all the way around, like past the club shop, and it's a bit of a faff. You've got to walk through the car park and walk through cars, and it's just a bit of a faff. So just if you're going to boost the the capacity by over pretty much 10,000, you're going to need these more accessible areas and things like that. And then, like you said as well, glass, natural light. They mentioned natural light quite a lot as well, and sort of things like that. So it's just exciting times, and they know what they're doing. And I think you mentioned it on Twitter as well. I think there's that NSWE, they've come in and they're very centric on history and things like that, because they could easily come in and just make a standard bowl-shaped stadium that, Arsenal have done like that. Highbury was a brilliant, historical, fantastic footballing stadium. They completely got rid of that and just built a bowl. I think it would have been so easy for, the owners to come in and do that. But they've got the head screwed on. They listen to the fans. And, so far, like you said, it's only phase one, and it looks absolutely brilliant, and they've got history at heart, and I definitely think that's the main thing for me.
Yeah, and I think they're finally delivering, though. I think you go back through, if you go back over the last sort of 10, 15, 20 years, and when you go back to like Randy Lerner and what he sort of promised with the stadium expansions, there was always the plans there in place under Lerner, and it never ever quite happened, obviously because of the dip in how we were and stuff. Sir Iris and Edens have delivered. Randy Lerner struggled to do that, and then Dr. Tony came in, and he was talking about his ridiculous ideas about theme parks and whatnot. And so here we are with these owners who have come in. They're respecting the sort of traditions of the football club, and they are putting plans in place to sort of take us to that next level, because we have been left behind. You look at other clubs like Spurs, Arsenal. We have been left behind in terms of our stadium, and there is parts of it that are looking very tired. And I think it's quite mad now to think that if a big UEFA tournament was going to happen, then Villa Park wouldn't be able to host it because of the stadium, which is crazy, really. Because when you think about it, in the 90s and the early 2000s, Villa Park was a state of the art sort of arena where big matches were being hosted, and yet it's not the case anymore, and so it's badly needed. And I'm just so glad it's happening.
Let's talk about when it does actually happen then, because I think judging by some of the supporters consultation group notes, I think you saw it on a Villa Talk forum, they're talking about when it actually does happen, it's going to reduce the capacity to 35,000, and Villa clearly haven't thought about what's that going to mean for tickets and people who, like yourself, sit in the North Stand now. So as a North Stand season ticket holder, you're going to see massive issues there in terms of where they're going to put you. We've got tens of thousands of people on the waiting list as well. They're going to have to wait because they've got to, you're the priority, you're the existing season ticket holders. So as a North Stand season ticket holder, Simon, do you fear?
No. I think when these things happen, obviously the club has to really think long and hard about what they're going to do. And I think, a lot of it's rumour and hearsay at the moment, and I think there's been rumours about how it won't affect current season ticket holders, and the stand will be built behind it with new building technologies, and sort of moved in towards the end of season, and the lower,
like Liverpool,
the lower, yeah, like Liverpool.
Seen that with Liverpool.
But then obviously there's been other rumours now about the current stand being sort of demolished in I think it was like the October time of 23, and then so for an 18-month period we'd be looking at having a reduced capacity, which is down to about 35,000. I mean, the logical and the only way you could do it essentially is, obviously we've got 30,000 season ticket holders. We're not going to have any more than 30,000 now until the new stand is obviously built, and so it will just have to be limited availability in terms of match tickets. And I would have thought they'll probably reduce the away allocation as well. So the away allocation will probably come down to, I don't know, 17, 1800, something like that, and then there'll be very limited sort of tickets go on sale, whether they do away with the membership for the 18-month periods or whatnot. I don't know, but it's basically going to be that there's going to be very little sort of match tickets. It's going to be predominantly season ticket holders if that's the route they go down. So am I worried? No. I'll be, obviously we'll be moved somewhere different, whether it's in the Trinity or the Doug Ellis or whatever. But I mean, for 18 months, I'm not worried about that. I'm quite happy with that, as long as we get the first dibs back in the new stand, which I'm sure we would do. So look, it's what's necessary and it's what's needed. We can't go on forever with our 1970s North Stand. It's not possible. And so if we want our club to keep going and going, we need to move on and evolve.
So those are all our thoughts. I put on Twitter if you guys watching have got any questions as well. So we got quite a few. So we'll go through a couple of questions and queries, worries, concerns, whatever now. Aaron Field, good mate from ours, from Luke, he says, North Stand needs to be renamed, but will it be a sponsored name stand? I personally hope not. It needs to be named the 82 stand or something along those lines. I don't think Villa will go along the sponsored route. I don't see us doing that as a club. I don't know. As a sort of younger Villa fan, I don't mind the North Stand. What are your thoughts on it? Because I wouldn't be overly pressed if it just stayed as the North Stand.
I don't think they'll go down the sponsorship route. I think that's totally against what the owners sort of do. And also, I'm not too sure about. I mean, how much revenue do you make off sponsoring a stand? It's
Yeah.
not like sponsoring a whole stadium. I don't know how much revenue that would even generate, to be honest. And so, but then, do I think it'll be called the North Stand? Probably not. I would have thought with a new stand, it might go out to consultation or to a vote to Villa supporters in terms of what do we think this stand should be named. And I don't know. You could go down the route of like a legend, like a Ron Saunders stand or
Yeah.
a Paul McGrath stand. Or I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. But I'd be surprised if it's not named after one of our legends.
Yeah, I think Ron Saunders is definitely the name when people talk about renaming certain stands. Ron Saunders is definitely the one that's definitely at the top of most people's lists. Helen asked a question. I would like a similar area for my kids like we have now on match days. My son loves the whole experience and really enjoys the academy before match days and all the activities they have there. Hope something similar is in the plans. I'm sure it is. I'm sure they've got that sort of thing planned for the Villa Live space. I know you've got a young nephew, haven't you, Simon? And I'm sure he enjoys all of that sort of stuff. But I definitely think they'll cater for like entertainment spaces as well as drinking restaurants place in this Villa Live space for sure.
Yeah, and I think you've got the Villa Live space, and I think they will probably try and link the new inner city academy just up the road to it as well. How they do that, I don't know, but obviously a lot of the stuff that goes on in the indoor academy at the moment will be moving over to the new football academy on Brookvale when the academy building gets demolished, and so I would have thought there'll be plans in place for that. So yeah, I'm sure that the kids will be entertained definitely.
Stuart says the idea of a box park style platform is really great moving forward. As previously said, the transport links are absolutely key to this success. Villa Park is one of those stadiums that away supporters talk about making it better equipped. It's going to be phenomenal. Like we've already said, I think you've got to start with the fundamentals, the basics with the transport links and stuff like that. And like you said, I think Villa have definitely got that in mind. But yeah, it's just like I think we've said before, Gary Neville, for example, as a United fan, his favourite away ground is Villa Park, and this is just going to boost it even higher. And like you've touched on as well, hosting the Euros potentially in 2028, and I know obviously FA Cup semi-finals aren't held at neutral venues anymore, or neutral club venues. Obviously they're at Wembley, which is a whole different topic, but it'd be wicked if we could just get back on that sort of level, because I think a lot of clubs have overtaken us, like you've already mentioned, Tottenham, Arsenal, a few clubs have overtaken us that in the past Villa Park would have been this sort of top facility, but now it's sort of drifted down a bit. So hopefully this phase 1 and phase 2, 3, whatever happens, it will take us to that next level again.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, there's been no work done on Villa Park since 2001 when the new Trinity Road stand was built, and I mean that feels like it doesn't feel like that long ago, but when you think about it, it really was. It was over 20 years ago now, and so it's a long time really for a ground not to have anything done to it. And so, as you say, we have been overtaken. It's quite clear that, like I say, we wouldn't be able to host a really big game there at the moment, a UEFA sort of game there, and so I think that just sums it up. And yeah, we desperately need this as a club.
Yeah, definitely. Ian says, at least we know why the replica and training kits are so expensive to pay for this. That's a different topic. Obviously, the training kit came out yesterday. Castor seems, on the face of it, quite expensive. A lot of controversy around that. I think people know me and you like collecting kits and buying kits. And yeah, I think you said in the group chat, didn't you? You're going to have to limit yourself to one because it's very expensive, isn't it, this new training kit?
It is, yeah, it is. And to be honest with you, I think this is a trend, isn't it, moving forward? I think for years, football kits have been becoming more and more expensive, and it's an expensive thing to collect. And I do feel sorry for people with families who've got 4 or 5 kids who want the kits all at the same time, because it's mad. And I think if you add training wear to it, I mean, training wear it was never really a big thing, training wear. And like, to be fair, I mean, I've never bought loads of training wear. Like, I bought the odd thing, and I like a good sweatshirt, but I've never bought a lot of training wear. But I think when you're looking at, it's talking £65 for a jumper, it is a bit ridiculous. And so I think, especially at the moment, in the cost of living crisis, I think everyone will have to sort of limit themselves. And I think, I mean, me looking at it, I don't think I'll be spending hundreds on it. I think if I want an item, I'll limit myself to 1 or 2 items, and that's the way I'll go. But yeah, it is expensive. I can see why people are frustrated with it, especially when you look at other clubs with Castor. And I think there is a little bit of an explanation. I'm not 100% sure on what that is in terms of why Wolves is cheaper than Villa's, but I'm sure that'll all come out in the wash.
Yeah, it's to do with fanatics and stuff like that and how it's manufactured. I don't know the ins and outs of it. This person says thoughts. It's about damn time. Ben says, where are the players going to park their cars? Yeah, obviously the players' car park is just in between the North Stand and Trinity as it stands. I'm sure they've sorted that out. I quite like an underground car park. That'd be quite cool. Obviously, I'll never be parking there.
I don't know. I don't know. I saw something earlier about the tunnel's going to be moved at the Villa as well. They're going to move it into the corner bit of the North Stand. So I think there'll be loads of little bits like that in terms of the tunnel, in terms of where the players park, etc. But yeah, they'll park somewhere. I don't think they'll be getting the bus or the train with the rest of us, will they? So.
Yeah, the new tunnel will be in that corner there, and I think they've said a few new player facilities will be in that new North Stand as well. So exciting times, mate. Really, really exciting times. I'm sure more will come out. There's plenty to feed off there. More will come out. Obviously, I think they're still applying for like planning permission, and hopefully that will go through at the end of the summer. Perslow said, but exciting times, mate. Any final words? I don't know. I want to sit. I want to sit there. That's my priority. I want to sit there. I know you already do, so I'm sure you'll have some sort of priority. But I'd like to sit there.
Yeah, I just think it's a really exciting time for the club, and I think the one thing I would say is just urge all supporters if they could fill out the survey, because it is really.
I'll leave a link to it. I'll leave a link to it in the description.
It does literally take 5 to 10 minutes. I did it this morning, and it is really our chance really to have a say in the future of our club, and it is so vital, because without this, the club might end up making decisions that we don't want, and then they take a lot of criticism. So obviously the surveys are really important. It's only 5-10 minutes of your time, so yeah, do fill it out.
Yeah, I'll leave a link to it in the description. Like Si said, literally nice quick survey. Have your say, because it really does make a difference. Yeah, and that's that. Nice one. So that's it then. Shout out Simon for coming on. Massively appreciate it as always, mate. Had a really, really good chat there. Like he said, exciting times for Villa now. And let us know your thoughts as well. Really want to hear your thoughts on the development, on the new badge, on the new kits, training kits, whatever. Let's have a good old chat. Get involved in the comments. Leave a like on the video as well if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Without further ado, I'll see you in the next one of the Villa.